Over 200 people in Kenya have been found dead in one of the worst cult-related disasters in history. Church leader Paul Mackenzie is accused of ordering his followers to starve themselves and their children in order to go to heaven before an alleged doomsday.
In Malindi, in Kilifi County, Pastor Paul Mackenzie has been apparently leading people closer to Jesus by starving them to death and then proceeding to bury all of these wonderful people in a mass grave on his property in Shakahola Forest.
Cultism in Kenya. In recent times, a lot of cult-like groups have emerged in Kenya and Africa in general. These groups have been taking advantage of gullible and poor masses who are ready to join any movement that promise a better life than the one they lived, even if it means dying with a promise that after resurrection, their lives will never be the same. In order to lure them even further, the groups associate themselves to religion, and as most religious continent, there are a lot of clients to recruit in Africa. In this video, we focus on Kenyan context because of one shocking case that emerged recently where the security officials have discovered more than 210 bodies buried in mass graves in one of such cult's leaders' property in Shakahola village in the coastal town of Malindi. The story of Pastor Paul Mackenzie and his church. A murder incident report filed at Langabea Police Station in Malindi Sub-County under OB number 12/17/3/2023 was the genesis of one of the most controversial religious-connected cases to have occurred in Kenya. The case revealed two children's deaths connected to the pastor. Isaac Ngala and Miss Emily Kaunga, the children's parents, are also listed as suspects in the case. According to court documents, the parents, acting on Mackenzie's advice, subjected their children, Seth Hinzono and Eve Brodito, to starvation and suffocation, resulting in their deaths. Another prominent theme in Pastor Mackenzie's sermons is his claim that formal education is satanic and used as a means of extorting money.
Kazi ambayo Yesu amenituma duniani ni kubrainwash wanadamu ili akili zao zifanywe mpya.
They know education is evil, but they use it for their own gains, he declares in one of his sermons. Those who sell uniforms, write books, those who make pens, all kinds of rubbish. They use your money to enrich themselves while you become poor. The state accused Paul Mackenzie of manipulating locals through skewed religious teachings and instilling fear in pursuit of salvation, resulting in numerous deaths. The self-proclaimed spiritual leader, previously a controversial televangelist, is currently under investigation for preaching a dangerous doctrine that encouraged followers to starve themselves to hasten their journey to heaven. The consequences of this belief have been fatal, leading to the death of some adherents. At the time of making this video, the security of officials in Kenya had undug at least 210 bodies of both adults and children. Some of their bodies revealed that they had been strangled and subjected to starvation after post-mortem was carried out. In 2017 and 2018, he faced arrest for advocating against sending children to school, arguing that education is not recognized in the Bible. Mackenzie has also criticized education for allegedly promoting homosexuality through sex education programs. I told people education is evil. Children are taught gayism and lesbianism, he told the Nation newspaper. Furthermore, Pastor Mackenzie discourages mothers from seeking medical attention during childbirth and advises against vaccinating their children. In one video, a woman shares her experience of delivering a baby through prayer without the need for a cesarean section. She claims to have received a prompting from the Holy Spirit warning her neighbor against vaccinating her child. The pastor supports her stance by asserting that vaccines are unnecessary and claiming that doctors serve a different God. Additionally, he discouraged women from braiding their hair, wearing wigs, and adorning themselves with ornaments. Pastor Mackenzie's sermons often centered around biblical prophecies concerning Judgment Day. The church's online content frequently discussed the end of the world, impending doom, and alleged dangers associated with science. The pastor frequently warns about a powerful satanic force that purportedly infiltrates the highest levels of global power as part of a larger conspiracy. How to identify cultism? Many people get into cultism unknowingly, but before they realize they are already brainwashed. Cults are often characterized by their extreme and often unorthodox beliefs, hierarchical structure, and strict control over their members. They often use mind control techniques such as isolation, sleep deprivation, and manipulation to maintain their hold on members who may be convinced to cut off ties with family and friends outside of the group. Cults often require their members to donate large amounts of money and time and may exploit them for labor or other purposes. All these factors were notable in Pastor Paul Mackenzie's church. Air hostess quit job, sold land for Kenya shilling 7 million and joined Mackenzie's church. One notable case was the sad story of a woman who had worked as an air hostess for 11 years, quit her job and joined Pastor Paul Mackenzie's church in Shakahola, Malindi, Kilifi County, a month before Mackenzie's arrest, according to a relative. The woman traveled to the remote village with her sister and niece to join their mother, who had been a follower of the Good News International Church for a long time. The air hostess reportedly sold her land for $7 million and gave the money to Mackenzie as tithe and offerings. The woman's brother-in-law said that they left Nairobi without informing anyone and traveled to Shakahola to find Mackenzie. Abbas, the woman's brother-in-law, explained that his wife also quit her military job after her sister left and they both headed to Shakahola. Abbas witnessed the exhumation of bodies believed to be those of believers who had fasted to death in order to meet Jesus, as promised by Mackenzie. Abbas has been in Shakahola for the past week, hoping to find his loved ones. Since I arrived here, I have witnessed horrific scenes, but I still hope that my family is still alive, he said. Residents of Shakahola said that Mackenzie had disguised himself as a saint and had started helping people in the village before his followers began fasting, which resulted in deaths. After camping here, he started giving relief food to the residents, and that is how he earned the trust of the locals. We thought he was a good man and everybody embraced him, said Jackson Marsha, a resident of Shakahola. Marsha added that the cult had been in existence for a long time, but people were afraid to disclose it to avoid arousing God's anger. Surviving victims of Paul Mackenzie's cult. There were hundreds of surviving victims from Mackenzie's cultism. However, most of them were not willing to come out since they had been brainwashed and still believed that their pastor had been wrongly accused. One case in point was a woman who, after being rescued from Mackenzie's fasting farm where she was almost dying from starvation, kept on insisting that he be taken back to continue fasting to die quickly so that he could go meet the Jesus soonest possible.
Baba yangu umeniacha wauaji Yesu.
Sisi si wauaji, tumekuja kukuokoa mama. Hatukuchomi, tunakupeleka hospitali.
The woman who was in police custody receiving medical treatment revealed that she had already fasted for 2 days before she was found in a forest. She claimed that she had spoken to Jesus and that she would continue to fast until he led her to the next place she needed to be. She also stated that it was Jesus who gave her the strength to fast and navigate, as she could not do it on her own. Not all of his victims were fully radicalized. Another victim of Pastor Paul Mackenzie's Good News International Church narrated how he almost fell for the cult but realized and got off it in time. The victim shared his inspiration behind joining Mackenzie's radical church, saying that he went to Shakahola after reports alleged that Mackenzie could save individuals from socio-economic challenges such as poverty. However, upon reaching the camp in Shakahola forest, the man realized that fasting was mandatory and that believers were dying from it. Residents of Shakahola said that Mackenzie had disguised himself as a saint and had started helping people in the village before his followers began fasting, which resulted in deaths. Previously, Mackenzie was arrested for unlawful detention of his followers, including children who were apparently conditioned not to take formal education. According to Rosalind Asina, who lost her brother, sister-in-law, and their children to Mackenzie's cult, the preacher used various strategies to win the hearts and minds of his followers. These included detachment from family, isolation from the general society, destruction of legal identities, prohibition of education, and making heavenly promises. Asina stated that victims who joined the Good News International Church never returned to their families and were barred from holding conversations or telephone calls with their relatives. The victims were conditioned to live within the church complex, far from the rest of the Kilifi community. Asina also revealed that her brother had to destroy all important documents, such as ID cards, birth certificates, and academic certificates, after joining the church. Children kept at the facility were prevented from attending school since the church's religious beliefs forbade formal academics. At least 310 bodies were exhumed from the Shakahola forest, while hundreds of others were rescued. Mackenzie was charged with promoting radicalization and teaching children in an unregistered school at his church. Asina lamented that her relatives had been misled into believing that the only way to see God was to fast to death. She questioned how such a heinous crime was organized and executed over a considerable period without being detected. Asina emphasized the need for enforcing laws against fraud, suicide, and murder and finding out why local law enforcement officials did not act in time. Unfortunately, at the time of making this video, Paul Mackenzie is still in police custody as more bodies are being exhumed from his Shakahola farm in Malindi as further investigations continue. We hope the victims' family get justice for their loved ones who were duped by this inhuman cult leader who took advantage of their gullibility. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel.